Wilhelm Wundt was born in 1832. He was the youngest of four. However, he grew up with just an older brother. The other two siblings passed away in infancy. His parents and relatives provided an intellectually stimulating upbringing with professions and careers that they held. But Wundt was a very shy, reserved person who was very fearful of new situations. High school was difficult. He made no friends, and he actually failed the first time due to daydreaming. He did go back to high school, and then after that, he did go on and complete his medical degree at the age of 23. He was top of his class at the University of Heidelberg and also placed first on the state medical board. He went off to pursue a career in experimental physiology. Wundt worked as Helmholtz's laboratory assistant, and he taught his first course in psychology as a natural science. During this time, he wrote his first book, Contributions to the Theory of Sense Perception, in 1862, and then he published lectures on human and animal psychology in 1863. Wundt believed that experimental psychology could be used in an effort to understand immediate consciousness, but that it was useless in attempting to understand the higher mental processes and their products. Wundt was a professor at the University of Leipzig for 45 years, where he taught scientific philosophy. He wanted to teach experimental psychology, but the university did not have the space needed. But by 1879, he finally had a laboratory that was dedicated exclusively to psychological research. Wundt's primary interest was his work throughout his life. The last thing he worked on was his autobiography that he finished a few days before he died at the age of 88. Wundt was the very first person to refer himself as a psychologist. Wundt is often associated with the theoretical perspective known as structuralism, which involves describing the structures that compose the mind. Structuralism is regarded as the first school of thought in psychology, although it was his student Edward B. Titchener who was truly responsible for the formation of the school of psychology. Wundt also developed a research technique known as introspection, in which highly trained observers would study and report the content of their own thoughts. He believed that psychology was the science of consciousness experience, and that trained observers would accurately describe thoughts, feelings, and emotions through a process known as introspection. Wilhelm Wundt is the man most commonly identified as the father of psychology. He began the world's first experimental psychology lab, which is usually noted as the official start of psychology as a separate and distinct science. By establishing a lab that utilized scientific methods to study the human mind and behavior, Wundt took psychology from a mixture of philosophy and biology and made it a unique field of study.